Hey guys, you've made it. This is your final discussion board. Um, I know that it hasn't always been easy, but you guys have done a really good job on your previous discussion boards, so I know you're going to do great on this final one. So let's go ahead and get into it. So your instructions are for you to reflect on what you've learned and how it connects to the world beyond the classroom. You are basically going to identify a real world or personal problem, no matter if it's big or small, that matters to you. And then you're going to explain how one or more concepts from this course could help you better understand or address that problem. And then you're going to describe your first step in applying a scientific approach to this issue and what kind of outcome you hope for. So, we've explored so many different science concepts in, the 5 weeks that we've done this, and each unit has so many different ones. So there's a couple, kind of listed here, but, this is by no means all encompassing. All right. So with your initial post, here are your sentence stems that you can use. The problem that matters the most to me is, and then whatever it is. The concepts from the course that could help me address this problem or understand it better is, and then the first step that I would use to approach this issue is, and the outcome that I would like to see is blank, right? So you're filling this part in. Again, similarity scores should be below 10%, just like on the rest of the discussion board posts. AI generated responses are not allowed. This should be your own unique problem. It's pretty easy to tell if you've plugged it into, ChatGPT or Copilot. This problem should be relevant to you personally. Okay. And even if it's just something small, right? Like, it's okay. Like for instance, the other day I had a problem with my dog. He's been like pawing at his bowl and wanting more food, and I was like, what's going on? And so I had to do, some research into it, and I found out that the food that I gave him, he can't really absorb it well, so he's essentially, slowly starving. So I had to switch his food, and so, I found that answer and bought him some new food, and now he's quite happy. So it could be something as simple as that, right? And then of course I would have to explain like what concept from the course helped me address that, which I would say it would be like the scientific method, right? Because I had a hypothesis, and then I did some research, and then I, did an experiment by changing his food, and conclusion is that he likes it and he's now happy. So, but if you need another example, here's another one. So this one is, this person is saying that they want to, reduce the changes that they're seeing around the world from climate change. And they're talking about why it's important to them and why it matters to them. They're having trouble because during the summertime they've got extreme heat and wildfires. And now they're like living in drought restrictions, and the air quality is not good for them. So of course that's a problem that's impacting their daily life, right? They want to be able to go outside and they can't. Then they list the concepts from the course that help them understand, this idea better. They identify environmental science from Unit 2 and energy from Unit 5. They talk about the instructor, went over climate change in both of these sections and the negative effects that we're seeing from increasing the greenhouse effect from fossil fuel emissions. They also talked to us about how switching to renewable energy could help to lessen those emissions and decrease the problems from climate change. So, pretty straightforward. And then the last question and answer, they talk about the steps that they would use to approach this issue. They're talking about how they need to do more research into, what renewable energy is best to invest in. And then they talk about the outcome that they would like to see. So this one's a little bit more simplistic than maybe your previous discussion boards, which I'm sure is a relief to all of you. So yeah, like, go ahead and, like I said before, use those, sentence stems to help you, like the fill in the blanks and stuff. But this one shouldn't require, as much research and things like that. Again, you've got your peer responses, 2 replies that are substantive, ask questions, give resources. Responses should not be AI generated. Again, you want to reflect your own ideas. So your examples here in regard to responding to this particular example. So the bad response, I agree that climate change is a major problem, and I'm glad that you want to solve it. It has been really hot here as well. I liked learning about that in Unit 2. I think I will go look into getting solar panels. So it's nice that they agree, and they're trying to relate to the post. But again, it's not substantive, right? Like there's nothing really to interact here with. There's no questions, there's no resources. They're not giving them new ideas, right? They're just kind of commenting, and that's what we want to avoid. Instead, we've got a response here where they're talking about, what they're seeing in their local area. And then they're giving them new information, and they're saying, hey, if you want to learn more about climate change, which is what that person said, right? They said, I need to do more research. They're giving this recommendation, right? Like, hey, check out this website and these interactives. And then they end it with asking them, a relevant question, because the person was talking about renewable energy that they wanted to invest in. So this is what we're aiming for right here. Again, we've got the discussion board rubric. So post synthesizes one or more course concepts and applies them to a real world problem or personal insight. So you have, listed the problem, and you have talked about what course concepts relate to understanding that problem. So that's the first part. Second part, post offers a meaningful reflection on how science has shaped the student's thinking, career goals, or problem-solving approach, supported by specific examples. So that's going into, question 3 and 1, because you're discussing, how science is going to help you with problem solving, and what you're going to do to help, what you're going to do to kind of look at outcomes of the problem you're trying to solve. Your, same thing as before, you've got your 2 pure responses, organization, professional language, right? So I'm not going to go too much over that, because we've done this 5 times now. So, but yeah, I want to really thank all of you for your hard work. I know that these can be sometimes daunting and a little intimidating, and I think that you all have done a great job. And I look forward to reviewing your last post. So I will see you then.